Welcome YouTube friends on board the Cessna Citation Longitude jet. We are going to do a flight today from Milan in Italy, south of the Alps, over the Alps to the city of Geneva. And before we do the flight planning, I'm going to start up the plane. So I'm going to hit Shift 7 to turn on the battery, left battery and right battery. Then Shift 4 to go to the center pedestal. And what we want to do is, well, let's have another view. What we want to do is turn the APU on. We can monitor this on the central screen. Right here. Verify that the APU is started correctly. And then we go back, Shift 7, set the standby power to on. Back to Shift F4. And you have a little cap here over the right engine startup. Open this, make sure that it's running, and close the cap, and then hit the button next to it to start the right engine. Again, we are going to monitor this. Right here, and you can see the ignition of the right engine. Shift 4.
System test.
Unlock the cap of the left engine. Make it run. Close the cap and hit the button on the left hand side for the left engine. And we can monitor the left engine startup right here. So our engines are running. What you can do then is turn off the APU starter, and our engines are running. So next what we are going to do is plan the flight in Navigraph charts for this trip. So when I bring up Navigraph charts, I'm going to unload the previous flight and hit new flight. The origin is going to be Milan, Malpanese. We add it to the route, and as destination we select Geneva. Which has the ATA code Lima Sierra Golf Golf, and we add it to the route. Let's see what runways we have available at departure. We can use runway 34.5 right, we add it to the route. And at the arrival, we have the runway available 22, so we add that to the route. Then what departure can we select? If you click on it, you will see the departures on the map. I zoom in a little. We're taking off here and we have to join this purple line, so I will take the red one, which is Dogu Charlie Tango. When I click on it, it's here in the list and I can add it to the route. Next we have to select an arrival, so that will be at our destination. First I will select the approach. So first I will select the arrival. And probably the best arrival that we can select is the one near our route. So the Bank O arrival. We add it to the route. And we still need to select an approach. As we have runway 22 degrees is, well, I can zoom in and we can see it. It's coming in from over the lake in this direction. So we will select an approach for runway 22, ILS runway 22. They are lit here. I will select ILS 22 and add it to the route. Now note that there is a discrepancy between this last waypoint on the arrival route and the initial fix of the ILS. That's because normally ATC, when you arrive at this point, will give you bearings, headings, and guide you to the final initial fix, initial approach fix. So we will mimic this by ourselves disengaging nav mode at this point and using manual headings to lead our plane to the initial fix. What we can do now is send this flight plan to avionics. So the only thing I want to do is set our altitude, our cruising altitude. So what we can best do is pick up the map for the green line here. This is the arrival Bank 3 Romeo, and open the chart overlay. And when we zoom in, we will see flight constraint of maximum 18,000 feet. So we will take something a little bit higher, let's say 20,000 feet. So in options, I'll put the altitude to 20,000 feet. And with this, we can export and load as active flight plan. Let's verify if this happens. If I go here to home and to flight plan, well, it didn't happen. So let's do it again. Load as active flight plan. Maybe that's because we first have to do the weights of the plane. So I think it's in performance, weight and fuel. We have 23,300 and a bit pounds of fuel. Crew and stores 1,000 pounds, which totals 24,000 and a bit of pounds of fuel. So that seems good. Let's go to the payload. We have 2 passengers. Takeoff, fuel on board, we sink it. Landing. Once you've cycled through this, I think we can import the flight plan. Let's see if we can import it now. So load active flight plan, and let's verify that. And there it is. We have a departure at Lima, India, Mike, Charlie, which is Milan, on runway 35. We have our waypoints with altitude constraints, and you can scroll down the list. You will see the arrival and the approach. The approach is one to runway 22, and you have the constraints. Destination is Lima Sierra Golf Golf, runway 22, which is Geneva. Before I forget, I wanted altitude for cruise of 20,000 feet. So I will put the altitude knob on and turn on the altitude knob to put it to 20,000 feet. You can see this here. So turn it all the way up to 20,000 feet. And there it is. As we are going to take off and we want the plane to steadily pitch so that the speed is maintained while changing the flight level from 0 to 20,000, we are going to engage flight level change. Flight level change adjusts the pitch of the plane while it climbs so that you have a steady airspeed, and it levels off at the set altitude of 20,000 feet. Now, regarding the setup of the flight computer, what I want to make sure in flight plan is that the ILS is activated. ILS, as you know, Instrument Landing System, has a frequency, and I want it to be activated. So let me see. I think you can go to Procedures, the Approach, check that the airport is Geneva, runway 22, and we well, we don't activate it, but we load it. But the primary frequency is 108.70, and we want to have it on standby in nav1. Go back to home. Then we have to do the performance tab. First we did weight and fuel. We already went through this, so I go back. Now we have to do the takeoff data. So we verify the departure, airport and the runway. We go to weather. We load it from METAR. You can see that the wind is from 357 degrees at 5 knots. Let's verify the temperature. For that you can go in Navigraph chart to the airport of Milan and go to weather. And here you have the degrees, 7 degrees. So let's enter that. Next, runway. It's just the length of the runway. Takeoff configuration. We are going to take off with flaps 1. I can set this right now. I've done this actually manually. I mean with an external tool, but as you can see the flaps are set to 1. Next, takeoff data. We have our rotation speeds at 127 is V2. We accept the takeoff speeds. And then you go back. We are again in the performance page. We are going to do the landing data. We check that we are departing from Milan on runway 35. The weather, we load the METAR. It's 7 degrees at Geneva. Runway distance, the length of the runway. Landing configuration, we are going to land at full flaps. Landing data, we accept the landing speeds of 133 for the approach in knots. Go back, we are back at the performance page, and if we go back then we can click on init and we will see that we have done weight and fuel, we have done flight plan, we have done takeoff, so we accept the initialization. With this, the flight computer is completely ready. Now we want to set the map that is displayed on the central flight display, and what I will do is I will get rid of this compass at the right side. This can be done by putting the map to full, and if we verify now we have a full map, so that's good. As I said, we activated the ILS on runway 22 in Geneva. Just to be sure that we have the right frequency for the ILS, we can verify our flight and go to the arrival approach, open the chart overlay of the approach, and what we will see here is actually the frequency of our approach is 108.7. So if you go here on the left hand side to this console and you go to audio and radios and you click to activate nav1, we make sure that we have 108.7 here, which I have. So if I click on enter, I know that the frequency for the ILS can be activated by hitting approach on the approach line on the before the glide slope. So I think that the plane is completely set up. One last thing that we have to do is maybe write down on a paper our headings for when we are going to use manual headings, and you can see actually that the approach line is on a heading of 223 degrees, so we can write this down. So that when from this green point we take headings, we are going to go north 360 degrees, then we are going to change it and turn it toward 223 degrees so that we can have the initial approach fix intercepted. And with that, our full flight is ready. What we want to do is put nav on so that our plane is going to follow the GPS, just as we entered it now in the flight computer, our flight path. And once we are airborne, we are going to, we want the altitude also to be engaged. And once we are airborne, we are going to engage autopilot so that we follow the navigation of the GPS. And we are going to hit FLC, flight level change, so that our plane climbs to 20,000 feet with a steady speed. So that's it for the setup of the flights. It's quite a big chunk of work, but once you've done that, you can relax and sit back. I'll see you once we are ready for takeoff. I'll taxi offline now. Now, just before I going to taxi to runway, I wanted to point out two things that we have to set also. If you have a look here, the pitch of the plane, the trimming of the plane has to be done. It's quite a powerful engines we have, and as we have a certain load with our passengers and fuel, we want this the trimming of the ailerons so that this yellow arrow is in the green. So find your trimming buttons on your joystick and trim. In this case, I trim down until the little yellow arrow is in the green. That's important. Another thing is we want also our minimums, so that when we are doing our final approach and we near the runway, that the plane calls out when we reach the minimum decision level, where we have to say if there is mist, decide not to land, or if we have a clear view to land. So in Navigraph charts, you can actually go to the template or the map of the arrival, and we are going to do a category 2 ILS approach because we are using autopilot. So our decision altitude is 100 feet. You can set this here at minimums. So we are going to use radio altitude 100 feet. Also, you want to write down maybe on a page for the approach. For the approach fix, we have to be at an altitude of 7,000 feet to intercept the glide slope. And now I'm going to taxi off screen to the departure. See you in a bit. So welcome back. We are going to do a rolling takeoff. Not going to do a full stop. Just align with the middle of the runway and put throttle to full. We monitor our speeds here. And when we have the rotation speed, we pull the joystick back and lift off. So that's right now. And what we want to do then is hit autopilot and there's a little knob here to start the auto throttle, and we are on our way. As you can see, up to the north, that's the Alps, that's where we're heading to. I will also retract the flaps now and set barometric pressure to standard. If all goes well, looking at the map, we will make a left-hand turn here because we are in nav mode following the GPS. We are climbing to 20,000 feet, which can be seen here, 20,000. And as we have engaged flight level change, it goes with a fixed speed and we take our left-hand turn. I will set our speed to manual now, so I'll switch this knob here to the right-hand side and I'll turn to set a airspeed of, as you can see it right here, I'll put it on 300 knots. And you can see that our plane starts to accelerate. Everything is smooth now. Oh, we have to retract the gear. That's something essential that I forgot, but luckily we were not going too fast yet. And we leveled off, heading straight for the Alps. I'll be back once we have our top of descent in sight and can start our arrival. So welcome back. We are cruising at 20,000 feet. We have the Mont Blanc straight ahead, which is the highest mountain. It's this top here. And flight level change has disengaged because we leveled off at 20,000 feet. We can start setting up the descent. So we will want to go down to 7,000 feet. So I turn this knob here so that I have 7,000 right there. There we go, down to 7,000. You can see that our plane is not changing altitude. That's because we didn't engage flight level change or vertical speeds or VNAV yet. So we have 7,000 here. What we want is our airplane to descend to 7,000 feet at approximately this point, but we wanted to respect the constraints of minimums like flight level 180 here, flight level 140 there, flight level 110 there. And we can do this all automatically by engaging VNAV. Now it's important that you engage VNAV before reaching the top of descent. The top of descent will be seen on the map here as TOD, top of descent. I will show you when it comes up. And once we reach top of descent, the plane will start descending from 20,000 to 7,000 feet, respecting all altitude constraints. See you in a minute. So I'm looking at the map now. This is our airplane. Right here you can see TOD, top of descent. Normally, as we have VNAV activated and a target altitude of 7,000, once we reach TOD, we will start descending. So let's verify that. We are at 20,000 feet, as you can see on the primary flight display, and we are closing in to the top of descent. Which we will join in a couple of seconds. If everything goes well, we will automatically start descending, respecting the altitude constraints. So this is TOD, and as you can see here, the plane starts to descend steadily to 7,000 feet. Up ahead is Lake Le Mans. We will take a turn to the east and then have manual heading to the initial approach fix and land in this direction on the runway, which is about there. If you look at our constraints, we will be above flight level 140 at Valbu. We will be above flight level 110 at Suvel. VNAV takes care of our altitude management. And we are still steadily descending, as you can see here. Now I'll go off screen now and I'll join you once we reach, let's have a look at the map. Once we reach Bivlo, where we take a right hand turn. Welcome back, we are closing into Bivlo. I'll start adapting the speed of our plane. So we are still in manual speed. I will turn and set the speed to about 200 knots. You can see it change here. knots, and at Bivlo we will be still above 10,000 feet when we take a right hand turn. There you go. You can see it on Navigraph charts. We're slowly taking a right hand turn and we will be heading 43 degrees to the last point of our arrival path. Let's apply a little bit of speed brakes. so that we descend our speed more aggressively to 200 knots. And I can disengage the speed brakes as we reach 200 knots. I'll reduce the speed even more to 180. As you can see here, and we are slowly losing speed. Once I reach 200 knots, I'll set the flaps 1. So that's about now. Set the flaps to 1. We will want to fly out a little bit further on a straight line after the last waypoint, and then we'll manage our heading manually, just as if ATC would say follow heading 43 degrees, follow heading 313 degrees, and vector us into the initial approach fix, which is the orange point here. We have to be at 7,000 feet at that point, as we remember, and we are already at 7,000 feet. I'm just going to double check if 7,000 is correct. So for the ILS I open the chart overlay, and indeed we have to be at 7,000 feet at waypoint Delta 17. As we are at the speed of 180, I can already lower the landing gear. Don't have to do this afterwards, so I'll do this right now. We are nearing the end of our arrival path. That's when we will go over to manual heading with this knob and adjusting the heading here, which can also be read right here. So I go to manual heading now, and I turn it to 43 degrees, which is what we have now. If I change it by turning this knob, you can see the arrow pointing in the direction that we fly, a blue line. See, when I change it, the blue line shows where we are heading at. I'll put it for a little while on 43, a heading of 43, as you can see right here. We can start making a turn to the left, so I'll adjust the heading manually. and we can go a little bit further so that we will have some range before we fly to the initial approach fix at the waypoint Sapre here. So I'll turn this knob further now to something like 313 degrees. We should be due northwest. And as we have written down on a page, our final course heading bearing should be 43 degrees for runway 4. So we want to reach here 43 degrees when we make a last left-hand turn to the approach path, the glide path. So I'll make a small adjustment now. And we should be at 223 degrees, sorry, that's for runway 23. So I go to 223 degrees. That's what I wrote down on the paper, 223. So make small adjustments. 223 is what I am aiming for. And now we should be on a straight line to our final destination. Let's verify on the chart. And indeed, we are heading to the initial approach fix, which is D17-7. Now, what we will want to do is set the localizer and hit approach. I reduce the speed a little bit. To about 165 knots. And as we are going to the initial approach fix, I engage the localizer, which is done now, localizer 1, and I hit approach. And we should start chasing the glide slope, which is here, the green line, and we start descending slowly to the arrival runway. So we have captured the instrument landing system glide slope. We did this by activating localizer and approach button. And all we have to do now is wait until we reach the runway, disengage the auto throttle and the autopilot and do a manual landing. As you can see, Geneva is the city right here. And it's at the end of the lake. And to the north of it there's some mountains, and to the south of it there's the Alps from where we just came in. It's a beautiful city in Switzerland. Jump back into the plane. Enjoy a little bit the scenery. We are smoothly heading in to runway 22 or 23, I don't remember exactly which one it was. I can set flaps to full. And I'll be back for the landing. Don't forget, we are at standard barometric pressure. Hit baro, the knob here, to set it to the barometric pressure of the destination airport. As you can see here, we are perfectly following the glide slope. The green caret is in the middle. We are descending 2900, 2860, 2040. But the runway is straight ahead of us. Coming in for a smooth landing. I'll disengage autopilot at the very last moment so that we are nicely lined up with the runway. What I can do now is disengage the auto throttle, this knob here. We will hear minimums soon enough. That was, I think, at the decision altitude of 100 feet. And now I'll disengage autopilot and do a manual landing. We're a bit low. Minimums.
50, 40,
Idle the throttle
12 o'clock, high,
and gently float down
10.
and start braking. So that's it for our flight today on the Cessna Citation Longitude from Milan to Geneva. If you caught up something, learned something new, or just like this video, please hit the thumbs up, give me a comment, or even subscribe. Thank you for watching, folks. Have a great day. Bye bye.